Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So, Zootopia 2 has been out for a couple weeks. I just saw it in theaters recently, and I thought, you know what? Why not make a quick video reviewing it? Because I do actually really want to talk about this movie. When I saw it, I was thinking, even if it's good, I probably won't want to make a video on it, but no, I do. This won't be too long, and the movie has only been out for a couple weeks, so I don't really have access to too many images from it, but I just want to give a quick spoilerific review of this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, which you probably have at this point considering how much money it's made, but if you haven't seen it yet and you're thinking about it, I'll just tell you this. As someone who did not even see the first one, yeah, I know everything that happened in it. I saw YouTube videos about it. I know someone who did see it. Everything about the stupid twist villain, the weird message, the characters, everything. I really liked Zootopia 2. Like, 8 out of 10. Disney's best movie since Wreck-It Ralph. That's kind of sad. But really good movie, and I just thought, here's my review of it. Before I begin, I'd like to recommend you guys all check out my Letterboxd and serialized accounts linked in the description. Without further ado, let's do it to it. This is going to be pretty quick, so let's talk about the main cast. I know this video isn't one of my best produced, but that's neither here nor there. I also want to talk about Gary the Snake really quickly, because I don't have that much to say about him. He was all over the trailers. He was on every single poster, I think. So I thought he was going to have some huge role. And he is very important to the plot. Like, the plot kind of really gets going because of him. But also, he's one of the weaker characters, if not the weakest. Out of the ones that have a lot of screen time, that is. Which is kind of sad. I mean, he's voiced by Ki Hai Kwan, who was Short Round in Indiana Jones: The Temple of Doom when he was just a child actor. Nice to know that after being in that masterpiece, he still gets to be in another big movie all these years later, and this time as an adult. I thought he did a good job acting. I like Gary well enough. I think he had some funny moments, and I think that emotional moment toward the end where he hugs Judy, permission to hug, that was a great scene. But overall, I just didn't really care that much about him. All the other characters get way more screen time and more of reason to care about them. Like when his family shows up at the end and he says, "This is my family," I'm thinking, well, it's a bit weird that it took so long for us to see your family, and I don't really care that much because I don't care about you. But really, Gary is probably the most negative thing I have to say about this movie, and I still thought he was good. I liked him. But I think what really made this movie work for me was just the dynamic between Nick and Judy as the two main characters. Because this movie does not hinge on the plot or anything. I mean, the plot is obviously important, but the message is not the focus. The focus is on the relationship between Nick and Judy, which I thought was really engaging. From the beginning, it just sets up how they work as partners and how they aren't working the best, because something this movie does that I really like that I haven't seen anyone else talk about is that the characters' personalities and actions are informed by what kind of animals they are. It isn't just random. Nick is a fox, so naturally, he's solitary. He doesn't really talk to people, or there's a reason he was a con man for most of his life before becoming a cop. And the way he bounces off Judy because she's a rabbit, and I guess this isn't really said, but rabbits I would assume are energetic, more excitable, which is what she is. And how the two of them just don't work that well together. They really wish they could, because they have done things before, like when they saved the city in the first movie, but they still have issues to work out. And seeing their arguments throughout the movie, I was really invested every single time they shared the scene together, whether it was just them trading some one-liners or something, like when Nick says, "Look, it's a viper!" and he just holds out some window wiper and he says, "Yeah, the window viper." Nick was by far the funniest character in this movie, and I thought this movie was pretty funny, but he had me consistently laughing. I really liked his character here. And Judy was a good protagonist. Like I said before, I really liked the moment with her and Gary where that moment was pretty intense, honestly, considering what this movie is. When Judy is freezing and she's begging Nick to come back and save her, which I'm not sure how he even could at that point in the story anyway, but I really got invested in that scene. Or the scene at the end where Nick and Judy just start pouring their hearts out to each other. That really touched me, honestly. I know a lot of people talk when it comes to the emotional climax of this movie. They're talking about how the part with Gary and Judy and how emotional that was, and the part with Nick and Judy, yeah, it was pretty emotional. It was also really funny, and it was funny, yes, but I do think that was just really well done. Like really well acted, directed, written. Like when Nick says that he's always wanted to be part of a group, but he never could be because of the way he acted, how Judy is his pack. I felt that, that was just really good. Also, I know that in the movie they're supposed to be friends, and I think it does a good enough job establishing that, but well, I'm definitely no shipper of these two because it'd be weird. The movie, if it's just trying to say they're friends, it is really laying it on thick for the shippers, okay? It's barely even trying to hide that, okay? Maybe that's intentional, maybe they're trying to set something up for Zootopia 3. If they did, I mean, I wouldn't mind that, 'cause I do think they have a really strong dynamic. But I also think it does show the quality of the writing that they could work as friends or as a couple. So, good job, writers. You made me really care about these characters who I'd never even seen before, and this is the sequel. Good job. The side characters in this movie are pretty good. I just want to talk about Mr. Big, at first voiced by Maurice LaMarche, one of the all-time greatest voice actors. If you know him, you know that he is the brain in Pinky and the Brain, so already that gives you some pretty high expectations. And he's not in the movie much. Apparently, he wasn't in the first one that much either, but his whole Godfather parody character is just really funny. Like how he's running a legitimate business, like you see in all those mobster movies where they, like in The Simpsons or something, where Fat Tony is running the legitimate businessmen's club when he's actually secretly a gangster. It's just a funny gag. Or how he has this daughter or granddaughter or whatever, and she's asking Nick and Judy to kiss her ring, like you see in those old mobster movies, but it's just a ring pop. I thought that was funny. And yes, haha, it's funny that his name is Mr. Big and he's a mouse, but that really is funny. But I appreciate that there's never a joke about that. That's something the audience just has to think about themselves. The horse mayor, voiced by Patrick Warburton, was great. He's barely in this movie, but he's just really memorable despite not being in it that much. He seems kind of like a sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger parody where he's this old action star with all these cheesy one-liners and becomes a politician. I thought that was fun, but it's also just great to see him in a Disney movie. Warburton hasn't been in a Disney movie in 25 years, which was, The Emperor's New Groove, which I'm pretty sure launched his voice acting career. I mean, since then he's been in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, B-Movie. He's been in some animated shows, but this is his first Disney movie in 25 years, and he was just really funny. I like how it's acknowledged that the first movie was about a corrupt mayor in the form of Bellwether, and apparently it had two corrupt mayors, actually. So you're thinking, oh, is this going to be a third one because he's kind of working with the villains? But no, he is still a good guy, and I appreciated that. Nibbles Maple Stick, I think that's her name, the beaver. She's in the movie a lot, and I did not find her annoying like I thought I would. Some of her jokes definitely don't land for me. I thought the part where she's saying bub 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 or whatever, that was not very funny. It was just kind of grating. But overall, I still thought she was funny. I think the joke with her running a podcast that very easily could have been annoying, but I thought it was funny. I think the part where she's in prison is funny with Nick as well. I enjoyed that. I thought she was a nice, funny side character that did serve the plot well and didn't get too annoying. So, again, good on you, writers. You knew how to not give a comedic relief side character too much screen time. The villains of this movie just really surprised me. I'm sure, okay, everyone has said at this point that this is the first Disney movie to have just a straight up villain in 13 years, which is sad. And it also happens to be the first Disney movie, ever, maybe, to have a good twist villain. And this is the 5th time Disney has done that. Okay. I haven't seen Atlantis, The Lost Empire. From what I've heard, that did actually have a decent twist villain, but after that you had Hans in Frozen. You know, the guy who's revealed something like the last 15 minutes where it makes no sense for him to even reveal his plan. You've got the that was his mistake guy from Big Hero 6, who was really obvious. You have Bellwether from the first Zootopia, who doesn't turn out to be evil until there's 10 minutes left of the movie. By the way, she has multiple cameos in this, and they're actually pretty funny. And then you got this guy, Pobbert, on the side. And here's the thing, I knew he was going to be the twist villain because I read Chaffurl's Productions letterbox review that said, "This is the first time in blank amount of years a Disney twist villain surprised me." And I did think, okay, yeah, it's going to be him, isn't it? Because I also heard that one of the links was the villain. But if not for me already knowing that, I think I would have been surprised. And I've heard other people say the same thing. They knew there was going to be a twist villain, but they actually thought this movie still did a good job being surprising with it. I thought Pobbert was a really good twist. Also, what I appreciate is that his twist is revealed when there's still a decent amount of time in the movie left, so we actually get to see him be a villain. But also, he doesn't have a complete face turn. He's more along the lines of Water Noose from Monsters, Inc., the best twist villain ever. He's not much of a, I don't know, like Screenslaver from Incredibles 2. He was funny. Like, I liked him when he was part of the good guys, and the twist was, it actually beyond the fact that, wow, it was surprising, he was an effective villain. And the fact that his personality didn't really change, and he still managed to be an effective villain, is impressive. And when he's chasing Nick down with the venom, like the snake viper, that was pretty great scene. Maybe not great, but, really good. But what I really appreciate about this movie is that it has a just straightforward villain. The first Disney movie in 13 years to have a straightforward villain in the form of the Lynxleys. Granted, it's 3 of them, plus then later the twist, but the main one, who I guess is like the father of the family, he and his family, really good villains. Because every Disney villain since then has had some kind of twist. Either it was literally 3 twist villains in a row, it was no villain, kind of, in the form of in Moana, then it was, what came after that? Ralph Breaks the Internet, no villain. Frozen 2, no villain. Raya and the Last Dragon, kind of. What was it? Encanto just had an antagonist, not the same thing. Strange World had no villain. Wish was like attempting to be your straightforward villain, but then also to try to kind of make him sympathetic. And then Moana 2, everyone thought would have a villain, and then it didn't. Like, it took us so long to just get a straightforward villain. And I thought the Lynxleys were really intimidating. I thought their plan made sense. I thought they provided a good threat. The twist with Pobbert that's combined with the regular Lynxleys works. Just really solid. Great job, Disney. I wouldn't even call these great villains, but I'm still going to say great job because you actually managed to write competent villains for the first time since King Candy, which was over a decade ago. Yeah. Oh, so since I'm talking about the villains, I may as well talk about the movie's message. I still think it was pretty preachy, and I'm still not the hugest fan of the way it's. I don't know if necessarily the way. I don't know if I necessarily want to say I don't like the message because I feel like I like part of it, but then also I don't know. Maybe it's a bit. I don't really want to. I feel like to talk about it more, you have to get kind of political. I don't want to get political, so I'm just not really going to talk about it. All I'll say is that I thought it was fine, but still felt a bit preachy. But at least the movie doesn't have any scenes like the first one where Judy says, "It's okay if a bunny calls another bunny cute, but if someone who's not a bunny says that, then it's problematic," which is just, I do not like that. But this movie, good villains, good twist, just good plan. Okay. So, yeah, this was a really solid movie. I wouldn't call this a masterpiece or anything. No. Wouldn't even be in my top 10 Disney movies, but it'd probably be around, I don't know, like spot 13 or something. Check my letterboxd for that. I really enjoyed Zootopia too. I didn't think I would, but I mean, after I saw the reviews, I thought, you know what? This might end up being a good movie, but it still managed to surprise me. I can also appreciate that the trailers, at least the second trailer anyway, I didn't watch the final trailer, but the second trailer gave me an idea of what the movie was like without really spoiling anything. It's funny, the second trailer doesn't show Lynxleys, doesn't show Pobbert, doesn't really show much about the mayor, doesn't really tell you anything about the book, Doesn't tell you really anything about the plot. It still manages to convey what the movie is about. I think did I see the final trailer? I might have, because that also kind of did that too. So the movie had a good marketing campaign, and an aggressive one too. Everywhere I went, I saw an ad for Zootopia too. Other things, I didn't like the song of Zoo. It grew on me a bit toward the end with the dance party ending, which, I'm actually pretty glad this movie had a dance party ending. I never got to see a movie with had one in theaters before. Well, I think the Lego Batman movie had one, but whatever. So, just it's fun to see that animated movies still incorporate those occasionally, because those are fun. But I just didn't really like the song that much. I thought having a pop singer play herself, but as an animal in this world, is just a bit too weird. I mean, I don't even know who the singer is, which is not a joke. I have no clue who Shakira is, but whatever. Also, Michael Giacchino's soundtrack was probably the weakest I've ever heard from him. He's a great composer. The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Cars 2, I guess Incredibles 2, um, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Up, Inside Out. But this goes along with Coco is by far his weakest work. It just sounds so generic. I mean, he's best at doing stuff like, your old time, like something that sounds like an old 60s spy movie like you'd hear in The Incredibles, Cars 2. But then Ratatouille, he was able to do this really nice French soundtrack. And Up, he did this old timey, like 20s silent movie era soundtrack. And Inside Out, he delivered this really whimsical soundtrack that I loved. And then in Coco, he had the opportunity to do some kind of Mexican soundtrack, but just ended up sounding really dull. And it unfortunately sounded pretty dull here. But aside from the soundtrack and I guess scary and a couple of the jokes just didn't really work for me, I really enjoyed this movie. Again, not a masterpiece, just a solid 8 out of 10. Really good. And you know what? I think I may end up watching this again at some point. Not anytime soon, of course, but good job, Disney. First good movie in 4 years. And heck, depending on who you ask, Encanto is just average, so really could have been 9 years, actually. Well, that's all for now. And remember to stay way past cool.